Alright guys, so I've jumped onto the Steam community page here, and I'm just kind of going to look through some of the maps, and I'm not trying to throw anybody out there as bad mappers or anything. I'm not trying to point fingers, but I do want to show you guys that this is happening, and it's in a lot of maps. So the next thing that I'm going over is actually the model spam issue that I talked about before. So if you notice back in my images, I was very sparse about adding models, and they're more ambient than anything. Like, I add a model to add a little bit of detail to the map in certain aspects. Usually in the sense of, I just wanted a little bit of debris on the ground, but you gotta be careful with doing something like that. Or maybe trying to fill in a wall by adding an electrical box or a wire, or just something to fill in the map a bit more. But if you're distinctly making your map out of models, that is a no. You do not want to do that. That is not the proper way to map. I know it feels easy to just slap a model in there, but you gotta remember that you're mapping and that you need to create this stuff. The map is not gonna look good if you just throw a bunch of models in there. So the one thing that I want to go over is there's actually two types of model spam that I can see, and I found two examples right off the front page, just under maps. So the very first one that I'm going to just go over here, and I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, this map here, population 0. So I was just kind of looking through some of the screenshots here, and you can see, like, some of this isn't too bad. Okay, we got some models going on. Ooh, what the heck is that? That looks like a bunch of models. You can see they got mountains in there, which is okay. You can use some mountains in the background. You know, not much going on here. He made some signs. But you get to this image and it's like, okay, what do we have? Well, I have probably about 3 brushes that I see in this image. I see the ground. I see the wall kind of fence going on here. Another wall fence here. That house is probably a model, to be honest. Looking at the rest of this stuff, that looks like a model. And if that isn't a model, I'm sorry, but that to me looks like a model right there. So from what I can tell, you have a lot of models. There's some trees, which are okay so long as you were using them correctly. But from what I understand, the ground is never flat completely where a tree would be, because the ground is going to be unlevel. So if you're going to be doing something like the ground, I would probably, instead of using just a brush, I would go with more of a terrain. But that aside, what they've done in this kind of map here is one big brush and a bunch of models kind of making up the map. So you can see we got, okay, so we did some brush work here, so that's not too bad, but that's a whole bunch of models here and whatnot. So you got to be careful with this stuff, guys, or else it does look bad. Like, you can add some grass and whatnot, but use it sparingly unless you're really going for like a dense grass or something like that. Really, models are something that they can make a map look amazing, but they can also make your map look terrible, so you gotta be careful with this stuff. I am not clicking on that cheese cube. Oh god. Okay, so this is a very deceptive one. We got a nice, really nice looking map looking right here, so I click on it, and okay, that's a little different than the image. But the one thing that I want to go over here is like, okay, we got a lot of stuff going on here. He actually took the time to curve out the sidewalk here, which is nice, although it's still just one texture with a weird line going down the middle. Not going into the brush side of things here. What do we have for a map? Okay, so we have the ground. We can tell that that's brushwork. This is brushwork. I can see that this is brushes. No trim on the windows. But when we look at the model spam, what do we have? All these buildings, they look like nice buildings. If he took the time to make these buildings, bravo. But those aren't buildings that are made out of brushes. Those are models. They're called Vista Buildings. They're meant to be used in the background of a map to kind of add the skyline of buildings. So your map would be somewhere down here, and in the back you'd be using these buildings. You want all your detail to be up front. But what I see here are his map is made out of these Vista buildings, and they're very low texture. Like, look at this. This is a very low quality texture on that building because it's meant to be used from far distances. You can also see that His map consists of debris here, which is a model. That is not a patch of any sort. There's no way you're going to get that amount of detail out of a patch. You've got a truck, a car. I can only assume that's another vehicle of some sort crashed there. Another vehicle, maybe a plane. Yeah, I can see an engine there. Okay. No, like, this might be handmade. I can't tell if it's a Vista building or not, but you've really got to be careful with this stuff, guys. Models can be the death of your map if you use them incorrectly. So I'm going to go over two things. So model spam can be defined, in my opinion, in two ways. You rather are using models incorrectly, such as Vista models that are meant to be used in exterior of the map, but you're using those models to make your map, or you're using the same model or same type of model over and over again. Another key thing when it comes to this over and over again repetition of models is a lot of times you want to simply copy paste and just put another model here, copy paste, put another model there, but what ends up happening is it all looks very repetitive. So even if you were to be using the same model, what you can do is really quickly rotate the model scale it down, model scale it up. If you're doing trees or grass and foliage, you'll find that you're using a lot of the same model over and over again, which is fine, but you need to add variance. So you want to scale up your models, you want to scale down your models, you want to use maybe different type of grass, maybe a shrub, a tree, a fallen log. You want to add some variance to your map so it doesn't look so repetitive. Alright guys, so thank you all for watching. I just want to say thanks for supporting the channel. We're almost at 10,000 subs now, which is crazy. But basically, we're on the third of the fourth part for this short mapping tips tutorial. After this, we'll be getting back into some more actual tutorials for mapping. Alright guys, thank you all for watching. See ya.